Good morning. I want to welcome you all to our Fall General Assembly in its new virtual state. We are foregoing the usual collection of all groups and going straight to the breakout session. So if you're wondering what happened to the first session, we have decided that that might make too long a day. So we're going straight to the Junior Girls Forum, and I want to welcome you all. Thanks for taking time out to spend a little bit of your Saturday with us. I have a couple of announcements to make right off the bat. First of all, I want to thank Gil and Lance for helping us with the technical side of things. We are indebted to them for that because most of us are still learning about these systems. For those of you that don't know, Lance Johnson has come on board and is now working the same job that Gil Wartell had for tournament director and technical advisor. So thanks to Gil for all the help he gave us before he moved to Florida. Thank you, Gil. And big thanks for Lance coming on board at just the right time. So also want to thank Becky and Lisa for continuing to work hard in our office over the summer while things are in a state of flux, to say the least. And to Eric for all of his hard work and certainly the start to generate our PowerPoint for today. Big help. Big news for those of you that might not have caught on to this. Charlotte Pottle, who has been our junior division coordinator for close to 9 years now, has resigned her post, is moving on to other adventures, it sounds like, and has expressed well wishes to folks in the volleyball community. And we want to thank Charlotte for all of her years of service. She's going to be missed. For those of you who also, if you didn't pay attention to this, want to draw your attention to the fact that we have an election coming up. You have till September 26th to vote, so please get in there and vote. We have a need to fill that junior division coordinator position for our next board meeting, so please get in there and vote. All right, with that in mind, we've got an agenda set up for you, hopefully with some information that you can take right back and use right away. Here's what the agenda looks like. We're going to first of all have Cindy Kirk, who is our Safe Sport Director, speaking to us of the season, that's hazing. So I'm going to turn it over to Cindy for the time being. Thank you, Cindy.
All right, I think I've unmuted myself. If I haven't, just let me know and I'll get that rectified. There are 6 areas in Safe Sport that we always need to keep in our minds on the forefront. Remember, it's bullying, hazing, harassment, emotional misconduct, physical misconduct, and sexual misconduct. The last 2 years, we kind of educated our members about bullying and harassment. And so this year, we're going to take some time to educate both our players, parents, about hazing and the fine line there is between joining a group and making them welcome members to crossing the line and making them actual prisoners, if you will. It's just so easy when young athletes want to include their friends that the pecking order, especially if you're a 12s player, gets kind of thrown out there. And so we want to make sure that everybody's included in a club, everybody's included in our volleyball community. And so I picked that topic to take for the year to educate each and every of our members so that everybody has a voice and everybody has a chance to come to the table with their perspective and to be heard. And so I put up an article in the newsletter about some ideas of some things that you can do as clubs to initiate and foster good inclusiveness. If you ever need some more ideas, just shoot me an email. And if you ever want me to come out to one of your club nights and talk about how to include everybody in your volleyball community, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just send me an email and I'll set up a date with you.
Cindy, a quick question
Yes.
came in, and I'm not sure if you answered it right away. They want to know if your safe sport role is changing with you taking on the new role.
One thing that I want to do, and I've over the years done more and more of this, is that I've tried to include more people than just myself in safe sport. We have an ethics compliance committee that helps JR and myself take over issues. But I also want to involve more people in the education process than just myself. And so if it changes in any way, I want to open it up to the larger community so that I'm not the only one educating, but that we're doing it in a more team-like fashion. So it will change in that respect, because I don't want it just to be the Cindy Kirk show. I hope that answered that question.
Is that it, Lance?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
All right. Next up, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to discuss some of the ongoing educational opportunities. So Eric, floor is yours.
Oh, thanks so much. You can go next slide. You guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, good. All right. So I think, as most of you guys know, we have required, and it's required by USA Volleyball, that if you are a new coach to USA Volleyball, you must take Impact. That's not a region region requirement. That's a insurance and USAV requirement. In our region, we've required for the last 15 to 20 years that every coach recertify every 3 years. You can do Impact again, you can do CAP, you could do another clinic. It's whatever you want it to do. Go ahead, Lance. Go ahead.
Apologies. Lance. No, there's nothing for me, sorry.
There's what?
I don't have anything, I apologize.
Becky,
go ahead.
Could you advance that?
The slide, there we go. Okay. The problem we were running into is a lot of coaches would lie or misrepresent their past clinics just to appease the requirements. A lot of uninterested coaches sat in the back of a room, bored stiff. The teaching methods were pretty unproductive, and that falls on me. It was too much information. The coaches couldn't really pick and choose what they wanted to learn more about. And as our generation has gotten shorter attention spans, we continue to make things 3, 4, 5, and 6 hours long. So we're going to try and rectify some of those things. Go ahead, Lance.
Becky actually is sharing, so Becky, can you?
Oh, Becky, sorry. Oh, sorry, Becky.
Oh, sorry.
Now I understand what you were asking me for.
There you go. So the problems we were running into, can you go back, Becky?
Sorry.
There we go. The coaches just had no autonomy about what they wanted to learn about. The retention was poor, and it seemed to really cause coaches to not want to get more educated in things. And we've just also, because of Impact, and we just haven't offered as much coaching education opportunities in our region as perhaps we should be. So next slide. We kind of go to this all the time. This is John Wooden, of course, and there we go. And so we kind of took this to heart and just said, if our coaches aren't learning, it falls on us, and we've just got to do some things better. So go ahead, Becky. In USA Volleyball, I went back and did some research. So in the last 5 years, since every coach has to take Impact, we've had almost 76,000 coaches take Impact in the last 5 years. However, 3% are going on to take a CAP 1 course, and less than 1% are actually going on to take CAP 2. So it's not just in our region. It seemed, although last CAP clinic was a huge success, we had over 130 coaches, which was the biggest that we've ever had. So This is an Aspen Institute study on sports from a couple of years ago, but it just talks about, and you can read the quotes, that how important coaches are. Bad coaches are chasing kids out of sports in general, and a lot of kids are quitting sports because their training is poor. Kids that played for trained coaches who were educated dropped out at a much lesser rate. So go ahead, Becky. So, the importance of coaching education, again, I'm biased because it's what I do, but, good coaches can help your club keep athletes. Bad coaches will chase them. They'll go other places. Educated coaches can mentor younger coaches in your club and start this nice cycle. And quite frankly, would you want your kid to have a really poor or undereducated coach? Go ahead, Becky. This is a, nope, can you go back one? I think you hit 2. Look at these things and imagine if any of these people you'd be comfortable with being uneducated. Person that fixes your cell phone, or the person that does your Starbucks coffee, or people that fix your air conditioning. Would you be okay with them not being trained most up-to-date information? So go ahead, Becky. So what we're going to do is we're going to make things a lot easier. Starting this season, coaches will only be required to do impact every 3 years. That is the only requirement you have to coach in our region, is to get impact every 3 years, and it's available online on demand. So you can literally take that 4-hour course in the span of 3 years and you are caught up with everything that we ask you to do. And again, this is required for all new coaches, and it's also our insurance carrier requires it as well. Okay, it's at this point because of the staff layoffs that were at USA Volleyball in this past year because of COVID, the education department was pretty much decimated. And this is the only thing currently that right now is being updated every 2 to 3 years with the newest information on legalities and player health and safety. And so we all have to take this anyway. So every 3 years, this is all you have to do to be certified in our region. Go ahead, Becky. So on top of that, what we're going to do is we're going to put together some coaching clinics. We're going to talk about up-to-date things. We're going to talk about one subject over 15 or 20 or 30 minutes as opposed to 25 subjects in 30 minutes. We're going to bring in some coaches and speakers on specific topics. We've already started to do this because of COVID. We have not been able to bring them in person. We're still a little hinky about that, but we've done a lot of webinars. And if you haven't seen it yet on YouTube, the Arizona region of USA Volleyball has a channel with a lot of interviews and some of the webinars we did over the summer. And we're also going to start a coaching and club mentoring program. So the coaching clinics will be, like I said, kind of on and off the court. Subjects are going to be those that are important now, not necessarily something that was relevant 10 years ago, but things going forward. And the cost will be minimal or free depending on our costs, region costs, and any materials that we may need. We're going to be working on bringing in, again, some guest coaches and speakers. Again, at the moment, because of COVID, it's very difficult to get people to fly and come here and stand in front of everybody and talk, but we're working on some things right now. The cost of these clinics will depend on what it costs us. And if you guys have any ideas or would love to, see something in particular, please email me at outreach@azregionvolleyball.org. I would try to set that up the best I can. Again, our Arizona region of USA Volleyball YouTube channel. We've already done some college coaches, some national team coaches, USAV personnel. We tape everything, so you can join us for that webinar, or you can watch it later. The questions obviously don't get answered if you watch later, though. But we're going to continue to host webinars like this going forward, and hopefully once the pandemic starts to ease up a bit, we can do a little bit more in person and going forward. We're going to develop a mentoring program. it says something that you'll see in a second, but I reached out to 6 coaches, college coaches, just maybe this week, maybe Monday or Tuesday of this week. And within hours, every single one of them came back and said, yes, we would love to be mentors. So this is not something you need me to do, but I'm more than happy and more than welcome to work with clubs or work with individual coaches if they're looking for a specific kind of mentor. I'm happy to reach out and try to introduce people and get people together for a mentoring point of view. This is one of those things that, again, has been proven to be so effective as far as training coaches. And again, it falls on me. We just have not done that much with it and haven't done that great a job with it. So I want to definitely do more with this. And this is just it going from left to right. Micah Briscoe at Arizona Christian, Lorraine Chandler at, oh no, she just got married. I don't know what her last name is now. But anyway, she's at Arizona Western, Ray Lewis at Benedictine, Carlos Moreno at ASU, Sharita Stubbs at U of A, and Megan Taylor at Mesa Community College. Again, I reached out to all 6 of these people on, I don't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, and within 2 hours, all of them had sent back and said, yes, please, we would love to do this. So if there's another coach that you're interested in, let me know. I'll introduce you via email. But I think this is one of those great ways to shore up your coaching education and work with some really great people. Want to go over a couple of numbers here. So over the spring, the country was in a little bit of turmoil about a lot of things. We actually did I thought a really good webinar on race and coaching, and had some really nice some really nice feedback and interaction going on. I thought it was really well done, and it made us as a region, and Harold in particular, kind of wanted to see where we stood as far as coaches. Did we have an outlier as far as a certain nationality of coaches versus another nationality? So this is USAV membership, not coaches, but this is the entire membership from 2018-19. They did not have stats for last year for obvious reasons. So you can see that 76% of our members were white, and you can kind of see again going down what the other percentages were. Go ahead, Becky. This was our membership in our region. And again, you can see we were a little higher in the Hispanic and Latino, but other than that, pretty much across the board, close to what USAV had. And then the next slide, Becky, this was our coaches. And again, you'll see it actually is pretty reflective of what our membership was. So in a way, it was good news, but in another way, we just thought we'd like to see more and more diversity in coaching. And if you remembered the mentors that we had, there were three of the 6 were people of color, because we think that's an untapped resource for coaches going forward in our region. So go ahead, Becky. So if there are potential coaches of color for mentorship, please forward their names to me and I will get in touch with them. If you have any coaches of color that want to mentor younger athletes, again, get them in touch with me. And as a club director, or you can call me, because this is kind of what my job is outreach. Let me come out and do a clinic for some racially diverse areas. We do stuff in Central Phoenix. We do stuff on the res. I'm more than welcome to come out and work with those groups and try to pull out some volleyball players and some coaches out of those areas. If you need to refresh your impact, and I'm going to say this with a little bit of hesitation because I'm not sure this is 100% set up yet. We're hoping to have this finished in the next 10 days, but we will send a list to every club director of the coaches that are currently impact certified, not certified. They will be impact certified for at least the next year or 2. Okay. We'll also post that list under the coaching tab on the region website. Again, impact can be taken free online. And we'll see again where the virus takes us. We may be doing some in-person regional impact clinics, but again, we'll have to see how that goes with the virus. Go ahead, Becky. So if you want to complete impact training for USAV, I literally pulled this off the Sports Engine website 3 days ago. And so it kind of tells you exactly what you would need to do and what you want to do. It's not 100% set up yet, and I think Lisa's going to talk about the challenges we're having with Sports Engine at the moment. But be patient, stay in contact with us. Let us know if you take something and you don't get any response from USAV. We'll work together on this and try to solve this problem. It's going to be seemingly a few months, as Lisa will tell you. It's going to be a few weeks or a few months here before we get everything squared away. But you should be able to start taking that today if you need it. So
Eric,
that's it.
can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
For those people who want to know more about the people who are willing to mentor, how many of those folks participated in one of your webinars, and would you suggest that people watch some of those webinars to get an idea about those coaches?
I'm trying to think now. Ray and Sharita were in the race and coaching one. Ray and Megan did a webinar for us on culture and their programs. And Carlos did a webinar for us on setting. So they can go back to our YouTube channel and track all those guys down. Most of the webinars, by the way, are roughly an hour. They're not 2 or 3 hours. They're roughly an hour. So, okay. Lance, is there any questions?
Yes, there is. There was a question about whether the mentoring could replace impact.
No, because the problem we have is the only sure education that we get from USA Volleyball at this moment is impact. And it's important that every 3 years we look back. I mean, think back 10 years ago, we weren't talking about concussions. We weren't talking about a lot of things. Now we've got this pandemic. We've got all these other things that we have to think about. If you took impact 15 years ago and never took it again, you would be woefully behind on what's needed of you legally and medically and all that kind of stuff. So every 3 years, the only thing you have to do is impact, and everything else is just you wanting to be a better coach or not. If you're the coach that's comfortable and you know I know everything and you're good to go, then you don't have to take any more education for the rest of your days. But there's obviously a need and a want by a lot of coaches who want to get better at what they do, want to learn what's new, want to learn what's going forward. And those are the people that we will work with and hopefully reach. Any other questions, Lance?
Nope, that's the last one for you. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much. Moving on.
Lisa, you've got some really important information to share with us regarding the new membership management system. So the floor is yours.
I do. Basically, the information isn't great at this point in time. Hopefully, not many of you are affected by this yet. We're dealing with the boys right now. There's a lot of kinks in the system that are trying to be worked out. My recommendation to you would be for anybody that has not claimed your account. Number one, you have to go in and claim your account. You were sent multiple invitations over the course of the summer to claim your account. If you do not have that email any longer, or if you if you're not able to access that email as to how to go about accessing your account, please reach out to me so we can get your account up and going ASAP. If you are a brand new club, you are going to notify me of that, and then I'm going to fill out a sanctioning request, and we're going to get you in the system that way. So any brand new members need to reach out to me directly so we get that ball rolling. And again, you only have to reach out to me if you're not able to access the email to claim your account. Okay. We have provided you on a list of documents that are associated with this General Assembly. We have provided you with an import template. That's very important. You can use it multiple times throughout the season. My suggestion is to go in and start importing people into your directory, like your coaches and that kind of thing, so that you can find out how it works. You need to leave me on that document, on that import, so that I am able to access your account when you run into trouble, or if I need to verify something on a roster. I cannot go into it like I did with WebPoint unless you have added me as an admin, as an organization admin to your account. So please, when you get that template, we would hope that you don't have a problem keeping me on there so that I can see what's going on behind the scenes. Otherwise, we really don't have access to it, and you're going to have to go through USAV on that one. So if you have strong opinions about that, talk to us about it and we'll see how we can make it work for you. There are 2 steps which we are learning, the boys are learning the hard way, to verifying people on a roster. As I said earlier, I would get started as a girls club director with importing people into your directory now. When you do that import, you send them an invitation as to whether or not they want to be a part of your club. A part of your club is not committing to a roster position for that year. It's just, it could be a matter of attending clinics in your club. Could be just about anything, just contact information for that kid. It's not until you send out the roster assignment invitation that a person is actually eligible to be on your roster. So the difference there is that if they're in your directory, they're not necessarily roster eligible unless you have sent them that invitation. And again, I believe our documents regarding Sports Engine are on that page for the for this event as well. So depending upon what you are, if you are a premium Sports Engine holder, then you can access that directory. If you are not, then there's another directory or another manual that you can take a look at. I am always available for questions. There are a lot of them right now, but again, I cannot emphasize enough that I would certainly go in and start playing with the system and getting familiar with it, because there are a lot of different sides to it. One thing that's very different this year is that you guys, you're going to be turning in your team registration forms to me the same way you always have, with the concussion forms, the safe sport forms. We would prefer that you do copy those back to back if you can. We cannot take those documents online at this point. We do need to have a hard copy of those documents. Therefore, the paperwork you're turning into us is going to be the same, with the addition of the COVID waiver. And everybody in the club needs to complete the COVID waiver. It's not only for players, it's for coaches, it's for everybody. So please be sure that you're including that COVID waiver with the paperwork that you're turning in to me for the registration. And once again, any birth certificates for anybody who has not participated in the past. And like I said, some of the it's a multi-step process for you folks and for myself that has not existed in the past. So get in there, dive in, call with questions before the girls get started. Actually, call in about 2 weeks when I get through the boys. I'm hoping all the kinks are worked out by then, and we will be good to go. Paperwork will be due in December, as it always is. We'll make sure you're aware of that date. And again, make sure everything is complete before you turn it into me. Number 2, make sure those rosters are done in Sports Engine. Otherwise, I'm not going to have anything to verify. And if you are not able to access the email to claim your account, please reach out and get that taken care of in the next couple weeks. I think that's it, Lance, unless there's any questions for me.
There are a few. One was asking whether or not we can do anything electronically for the forms.
No, the documents such as Safe Sport, concussion, birth certificate, and COVID, we have to have the hard copy, the wet signature. We cannot do it online, digitally.
Okay, thank you. Another one, are there any recruiting issues or other interference with AIA by sending out invitations through Sport Engine?
Right now, the invitations being sent out are not a commitment to your club. It's just to be a part of your club's directory. So we're not interfering with any recruiting guidelines at this point. With that invitation. You cannot obviously create your teams and send out your invites until our designated tryout days.
All right, thank you. Do you need hard copies of the COVID waiver for coaches as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. In a prior email, it was recommended to have girls wait to join. Is that still recommended?
You know, I believe that the date for girls to sign up was starting yesterday. You can sign up, but it's still a little quirky. Doing that initial registration should be okay. You shouldn't have any problems doing that. But it's when I'm assigning to rosters and that kind of thing that there are issues. So our concern with the girls starting right now is that we are still fielding boys' questions. Currently, I'm the only one in the office, so the phone is ringing off the hook with boys' questions. And if we add girls to the mix, it's going to get a little crazy for me. So just understand that it's going to be a couple of weeks probably. I would say at this point, October 1st for the girls, unless you're coaching boys or you have some involvement with the boys program.
Okay, let's see. Can we do an in-person training on the new system?
I am not against that idea at all. It's just that the system has to be operating properly before I want to do any training. So I am open to that idea. And once we're up and going with minimal flaws, I am more than willing to do that. But that doesn't mean you should wait on claiming your account at this point or submitting your paperwork to me for me to sanction your club so that you can get in the system. That's something we need to be doing as we speak. But yes, I will set up some training times, and yes, we'll get that on the calendar once we know it's operating properly.
All right, and I think someone was looking for a clarification just to be sure that they would need to register on Sports Engine, correct?
They're registering on Sports Engine. I've had multiple calls from people who are telling me that they have no membership option available to them, and it's because they're in WebPoint. So the membership system is Sports Engine, and it's important to know that for the junior players, you need to set up a household account. That household account, which does not cost any money, the household account is set up by the parent. That parent then will be allowed to register the junior. If a junior goes in to create a membership and it's not going through the household account that has been created by the adult, then the junior will not be able to register themselves. It's got to be the adult account holder that is registering the junior. But again, it does not cost the adult any money to set up the account. And they can add multiple kids in that same account.
Okay, and Sean Copley had a great possible suggestion. Is it possible to like do a little bit of training online and record it? Like as a webinar, possibly watch somebody go through the process?
I'm open to getting this information out any way we can once the information is accurate. Right now, the information I can share with you is not accurate. I'm doing a lot of troubleshooting. I'm doing a lot of waiting on replies and answers to questions and that kind of thing. So unfortunately, I can't offer that service at this point, but I would definitely look for it in the month of October if we can get through this boys hump. But yeah, I don't mind doing it in person or online.
Okay, I'm trying to read the last question that I've come up with from Ed. He said he's been dropped a few times while trying to do his, he's already claimed his SC account and he's on premium. He's not sure if he's good to go when he says my club needs to be sanctioned, when it says that. Is there another step he needs to take?
He's good. The sanctioning, I'm referring to the brand new clubs that are not in the system yet. So a brand new club to the Arizona region would need to be sanctioned. That's what I'm referring to, the brand new members. If you've already
Okay.
set up your account, you're good for the year.
All right, I think that's all for the questions we can answer verbally. Otherwise, we have to take offline probably.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Lisa.
Sure.
As you all can tell, this new member management system is an ongoing evolutionary sort of thing. And Lisa and Becky are both in contact with people from other regions, as well as Sports Engine, to try to get all of our questions answered and try to smooth things out before they present it to you. So a little patience on your part would really be helpful. Fortunately, we're dealing with the boys season first, and that isn't quite as stressful because the numbers are lower, but it's still a challenge. So by all means, call us or contact us, but if it has to do with the girls, give Lisa a little bit of time so that she can take care of the boys season and get that started, and then she'll devote all her time to you. Next, we want to have Becky discuss some of the things that are going on this season. Some are new, some are changes with respect to this crazy pandemic situation we've been faced with for the last 6 or 7 months. So Becky, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We have set up, because there is so much new, there's so much stuff coming that's changing. We didn't want to just put it into our handbook or into the coaches page or different pages around, so you may not even know what you're looking for. So we created a web page for directors, and you can't link to it in our website. So we have the direct URL, which is there on the screen, and I believe Gil has put it in the chat as well for the thing. We can definitely send it out again at the end of this one. We'll send out anything that needs to go out to all the directors with this link in it. I did attend the officials division meeting the other night, and they are talking about, they haven't secured this yet, but they are talking about potentially merging the scoring and the reffing clinic into one clinic. So everybody would take scoring and a little bit of R2. So they're going to concentrate in a 2-hour time clinic. They would spend 3/4 of the time teaching scoring and 1/4 of the time teaching the R2 training for the kids. And the line judge training they can do right at the site as they need to do it. We also have, with this COVID stuff and with the sharing of pencils and different things, the region has created a packet for every team, and you'll get it at your first tournament. The boys are going to get theirs next week, but it's like a pencil pouch, and it's going to have 3 mechanical pencils. It's going to have 1 pen. It's going to have a bunch of Sani wipes so they can wipe off the pencils, and it's going to have a hand whistle for everybody. So the coaches are going to be given those packets. 1 per team is all that's going to be there. Oh, there's also going to be 3 wristbands in there, but I'll go into that. The coaches are going to be in charge of maintaining the supplies in there. We're going to give it to you once, and that's it. And then they will need to refill the pencils or replace the pen if it goes dry or whatever they need to do. But they should have that at every tournament, because no pencils or pens or anything is going to be supplied by the site directors for scoring or the R2 for the whistle. So you'll have a hand whistle, and I believe all of that stuff has come in already, and we're going to start assembling that stuff when I get back. At least I'll have to do it this week, but for the boys. But if anything is lost, it will not be replaced by the region. It will be up to the coach or the club to replace it. The 3 wristbands in there are for the 3 designated spectators that we are allowing right now. And that's part of the tournament restrictions. One of the things is each team is restricted to no more than 3 spectators. And the spectators will come in with the team. Their names will be written on the roster, and temperatures will be taken of everybody prior to attending or prior to going and turning in the roster and showing the med release forms at the check-in. There aren't going to be any coaches meetings. They're going to be, it'll be a handout with the information that you need to know for the day and probably your play schedule as well. But all of that has to be done half hour prior to the start of the first match, so that everybody's accounted for and made to be there on time. The 3 spectators cannot be switched around during the day. They are the 3 designated for the day, for the tournament. So the coach will be able to decide what 3 are going to come in, and those 3 are the only ones that should be coming. And they will get a wristband, and then at the end of the day, they will give that wristband back to the coach, who can use a little sandy wipe and clean them if they need to do that. And then they'll be ready for the next one. We had a question earlier about chaperones that are listed on the roster. Are they counted as part of the 3? And the answer is yes, they are. Any parents that are not actual coaches on the team or players are counted as one of those 3 people. So the whole intent is to reduce the number of people inside the facilities. The boys' facilities that we have talked to, they don't want any spectators. They want to keep them all out. And we were able to allow up to 3 per team. And you can use them to help the coach out. You can use them, one of the suggestions was made to have them be streaming their matches on Facebook Live. Don't ask me how to do that, but that's what the suggestion was made, that they can, then the parents can see from outside or from home. So the 3 spectators, okay, those, I said that. Okay, there's another document called Play Volleyball Protocols. It's on this drive or this web page, and it's also in our handbook. But we have taken all the different protocols from the AIA, from the NCAA, from USA Volleyball, we've talked with the Department of Health Services or Arizona, and we've created these protocols for us and that we're going to use at our tournaments. And it's like no waving, no hand slapping, none of that. The kids on the court and on the bench do not need to wear masks. If they are not if their team is not playing, then they will be masked if they're inside, or if they're off, they should be going outside. The scoring and the ref teams will be masked, just not the ones that are on actually playing or ready to go in on the court. The coaches are all masked. The officials have agreed they will be masked, and they're going to try to use the hand whistles, or they're going to use these little pouches that go around that catch the spray that the NBA has used. We all have to realize that in order to continue to keep playing, we all have to work at this together. We've got to be, we can't be argumentative about what the guidelines are. We have to work together to keep us playing, because if anything happens, if it starts to spread major from our tournaments or from our practices or whatever, we're going to be shut down. So we have to all make sure that realize we are all in this together. We're all working to be able to play. We know that this is a great outlet for the kids. They need their mental health, their physical. They need to be playing, and they need to be out and doing things normal again. But part of that is masks, and it will be around for a while, because this virus isn't going away even with a vaccine. It's still, a vaccine is going to be annual, and there are people that aren't going to take it. So we're going to have to protect ourselves at all times. So that's just what it is. And the COVID form that Lisa was referencing, that has to be filled out by every single person that is going to be attending our tournaments. Like every coach, every club director, anybody that is attending will sign it. The parents have to sign it on behalf of their kids, and they are covering their whole family with that. But each person that's on the roster has to turn one in, or they can't come in, because there is, what we were told in May by the insurance representatives at the RVA meetings, is that youth sports going forward, their insurance doesn't want to cover infectious diseases. And We haven't heard exactly what they were able to renew. The renewals happened in August, but as of May, they were saying they were not going to find any insurance companies that were going to cover infectious disease. And so that means it's going to be up to the individual to make sure that they can protect themselves and do their due diligence, keep their hands washed, you know, their distance and masked when they're around people that are participating and they're not. So I think that's all I have. That's all I have for you, but I'm sure, and just go to that web page. We're going to be posting stuff and updating that as we can. As new information comes through, we are starting to get the new forms from USA Volleyball. One of the things too that's new this year from USAV is the medical release forms. We need them in Arizona. If you're going to take a kid, if especially with reduced spectators, the parents may not be there. We've got to have them in the event somebody gets hurt. And that's what one of the spectators can do as well. But we have to have those, and USA Volleyball is now not requiring them at their tournaments. So they thought that the risk of that information getting out was worse than not having the form. But our board decided, because of our restricted spectators, we thought it was important that we continue to have those. So the medical release form is a little different. It's an Arizona region medical release form. It's no longer required by USA Volleyball. But all of the information that we get from USAV, we're going to put on that director's page that we will update. And then as we get closer to the start of the season, or once the season starts, we'll move all of that into the handbook. It'll also be posted in the handbook, but the director's page may not be updated anymore. It'll just be learning where to go in the handbook to find the documents or the information. We are going to put this recorded webinar on that page, and we're going to put this PowerPoint on that page as well after this meeting's over. So that's all I have.
Okay. A number of questions. I'm sure you're surprised.
No.
First and foremost, the first questions, and again, I may not have heard the answer because I've been watching the questions more than anything else. Assistant coaches, are they considered part of the 3 or not? And how many assistant coaches are they allowed to have? I'd probably venture to guess.
Your roster, I mean, a regular roster is, I believe, 12 players, 2 coaches, and a chaperone. But the intent of this is anybody who is not a coach or a player is considered one of the spectators. So I don't know if you want to train 18 people to be a spectator or to be an assistant coach on your team just so you can get them all in. That defeats our whole purpose of this. And I don't think we need to go around that. I think we need to acknowledge that and go with that for right now. It may be that when we get to the girls' season in January, that's not even required anymore because we are doing better. But with the boys' tournament, the first 3 tournaments, this is what's happening. And so hopefully we can continue on and we can go that way, but and go toward back to normal. But right now, let's just do the 2 coaches, or maybe 3 if what you normally do, and your players and your coach. You could put a director on there. The director would not need a wristband. They would be considered part of the roster. But please don't stack your rosters with adults just so they can get in, because that's going to make too many people in the gym, and our facilities aren't going to like it, and they're going to shut them all out.
And just to clarify on that, the club director does need to be explicitly on all the rosters?
I believe that's what, well, we used to put them only on the highest level, like if you had an 18-1s team, we wanted them on that team, or if the highest you had was a 16-1s, we wanted them on that team. But I should probably let Lisa talk to that. I don't know that they need to be on there, but I guess if they are wanting to go into with every team, then they would need to be on the roster. But a roster is going to be 15 or less. That's, I think, what Sports Engine is going to restrict it to anyway.
Okay, and there are some, of course, a number of questions and comments just about limiting the spectators to 3. Some questions on do we have plans on how to explain this to the parents, etc. And worries that some players will not play because their parents won't be able to attend, and worries about out of town tournaments such as down in Tucson and driving all the way down there and not being able to attend.
I would suggest you work out carpools if that's the case, but just like I said, the facilities that we are talking with the boys didn't want any spectators. So the parents are just going to need to understand this could be a new normal for a while, and hopefully it won't be. Hopefully by January, it won't be an issue at all, but I can't guarantee that. And so we're going to put that into effect, and we can loosen it up or we may have to tighten it up. I mean, this is all voluntary. It's not required. If the parents won't play because the kids, they can't join their kids, then, I don't know what to tell you. Train them, whatever, but they're going to need to learn how to live in this restricted world, and hopefully it won't be there, but it might. We don't have a choice. It's either that or nobody.
Okay, I think a strong point to put out is that it is not necessarily the region that has dictated the fact that we can only have 3 spectators versus the fact that it's our facilities that are restricting us to allow us to play in their facilities. The ones we have contracted with the boys, they didn't want any spectators, and we talked them into 3. So we're going to allow 3, and it was thought by the boys that the coach needed help, especially if an injury occurs. You don't want no parents to be there because they may have to deal with that injured player, or they may need to be streaming the video, or they may need to give the coach a break at the score table so they can go out and get a drink or eat or whatever they need to do. But that's why we were allowed to limit it to 3 players or 3 spectators. Okay, a question about live streaming. Was that looked at, and that could do live streaming for the teams to watch or the parents to watch their teams?
I know at the last board meeting, Ron had reached out to Baller TV. Nothing was decided because we didn't have the information yet. We did have another group, Profile Sports, that had contacted us, and it was going to be over $100,000 just for the boys, and we didn't see how that was going to work. So we have not put anything into place yet. It's still on the table, but it hasn't been decided. If it is an increased cost, it's going to affect the contract price. Right now, the contracts didn't change, but if we add that video streaming, especially for all courts, I mean, that was a huge amount. We'll see how that works. I know he's still talking to Baller TV, so we'll see how that works. It could be that the parents just have to pay the subscription and they'll take that. I don't know what the status is going to be.
Okay, so to clarify to everyone, we are getting a ton of questions, and we will not be able to go through all these questions. We will take a look at all these questions afterwards and send out answers as we can to everyone. But one other answer, which is very good, or question, which is very good. What about team camps? Are those going to be impacted at all with these restrictions?
The team camps will be limited to the team and the 3 spectators, and that's it. I mean, we don't want people hanging around outside. So, I mean, it's better outside, and when a team is off, they're supposed to go outside. So we'll just see how that works. We don't want 25 people in the team camp. You would definitely have to break that up because right now there's not allowed, I don't think, groups that size in one area.
Okay, and so we'll have to end this pretty quick, but one last comment. The spectators do not have to be on the rosters. The wristbands are what define the spectators, correct?
The spectators need to be written on the roster for that day so they know who the 3 designated are, and then the wristband will get them through the door. But the wristband and their name on the roster will indicate that they've had their temperature taken and they're okay for the day. But we're not to switch out, like if you have 8 parents come, you can't switch out the wristbands for the day. It's 3 designated for the day. They're the only 3 that can go in. And there are only 3 that are written on the roster. That's it.
Okay, so one last one, and folks, we will take a look through all the questions and try to answer everything afterwards. Will the purple card be used for parents that are not, or for spectators that are not wearing masks?
They should not be entering the building without a mask on, so they won't be coming in the door without a mask on. So, I mean, that's part of the requirement for them. if they take their mask off, I mean, that's something we need to discuss with the officials division because they're going to have to issue it. But if a parent can't comply with the guidelines, they should not come. Basically, don't come if you can't comply with it. We don't want to argue. We don't want to fight. We want to put this program on and do it in a way that everyone can continue to play. We don't want to fight about it. It's just do it or don't come.
Okay, I think we'll have to end the questions now to keep on moving forward. And again, folks, we will go through all the questions listed and try to help you out.
Thanks, Becky. I think people need to realize that the folks who own these facilities, we're primarily relying on privately owned facilities. We can't even use public schools for the most part. And the people who own private facilities are concerned about the legal ramifications of this pandemic as well. So they're putting in a lot of time and energy to make sure it's a safe place. So we're trying to work with them to let some people see, but we can't let everybody in and still use those facilities. So patience and understanding is really helpful right now. And as Becky has said, we're hoping that the coming spring will allow us to do things a little bit more like we have in the past. But please do your best to help parents understand. We're trying to keep their sons and daughters safe and still be able to play volleyball. Last category, I want to mention just a couple of things with respect to things pertaining strictly to the junior side. You all, Becky, if you want to advance that slide.
Sorry.
No worries. There were a couple of important details. After the spring forum, we sent out a survey. It was compiled in June, and a couple of the questions dealt with early signing and early tryouts. Sadly, we only got about a third of the club directors to respond. So I think that caused the people on the junior girls committee to have a great deal of discussion about these things for a variety of reasons. And as a result, they couldn't really bring a recommendation to the board before our board meeting in August. And in order to get that out and let everybody know what's going on in the September newsletter, we needed to have that information. So without it, we felt it would not be fair to all clubs to give out late information. We don't like to do that. So those ideas will still be on the discussion block, and we'll look at them throughout this year and hopefully have a little bit better idea what the junior community wants us to do with those ideas. Part of the issue is there's a lot that's going on with this pandemic, and maybe we just try to limit the changes as much as possible, especially since we're dealing with a new member management system at the same time. So their ideas, they're good ideas, and I'm sure the junior committee will discuss that some more. Speaking of the junior committee, we've been talking, and what we're going to do is to make a slight modification here so that, and by the way, before I get started, my thanks to the folks who serve on the Junior Girls Committee. I will thank each of them by name here in just a minute, but we've started to see more meetings and more interaction, and that is what we wanted. We wanted that group to feel like they played a meaningful role in running the junior side. However, what we've had for many years is a huge role of responsibilities falling on the shoulders of the junior division coordinator, and one of those was running these meetings. So rather than do that, what we're going to ask is for each of the committees to elect a chair from within their membership and have that chair work with the junior division coordinator to set up an agenda for their meetings and a timetable for their meetings so that the meetings take place. They can discuss whatever they want to, but there will be hopefully some decision-making ideas that will take place, and those ideas will be brought to the board meetings by the junior division coordinator. The junior division coordinator will serve as a tie-breaking vote on those two committees, and instead of sort of steering them, we'll be working with them in a coordinated effort. So hopefully that will make those committees feel like they are vital to what we do, and make the role of the junior division coordinator a little less stressful, and hopefully streamline things a bit. In addition, we've got another thing to look at on the next slide. We've decided that what we need to do is to coordinate activities. They do this at the national level, and we're a little slow in that respect. So I apologize for getting there, but late, but we're getting there. What we're going to do is ask the junior division coordinator, the junior girls committee chair, the junior boys committee chair, a representative from the officials, and either our tournament scheduler or some other staff person to work together on a committee when we're setting up things like schedules and anything that impacts those groups, so that we can make sure that we make a decision that is good for all of those groups. The last thing we want to do is to say, for instance, set up a weekend where we have a big tournament going on, but it conflicts with the other juniors group, or that it's not good for trying to run it in terms of officials. We want a coordinated effort, and we think this new committee will make that a little bit easier, and will avoid some of the pitfalls that can occur when you make decisions in a vacuum. So we're going to have that going down the road. Also want to shout out and give notice to those folks who serve on the junior girls committee in particular. For those of you that read the last newsletter, you saw this in it, but if you didn't see the newsletter, I encourage you to go back and read it. And many thanks to the two reps for club sizes under 5 teams. That's Amy Strawn, who represents the metro area, and Natalie Sobzak, who represents the non-metro area. They will coordinate with any club that has fewer than 5 teams. Please reach out to one another so that any thoughts, ideas, concerns can be brought to that junior girls committee. For clubs that have 5 to 9 teams last year, Abby Vick from the metro area and Alan Ramage from the non-metro area, the rural areas, are your 2 representatives. Thanks to those folks. And quite honestly, these virtual meetings have helped some of those folks from the non-metro area to participate. In the category of clubs with 10 to 19 teams, what we have, Bill Lang represents folks from the non-metro area down in Tucson. He's out of Tucson, and we need to fill a vacancy for the metro area. Nicole has moved on and left the area, so we need to fill that spot. Finally, for the very large clubs of 20 plus teams, 2 veteran club directors, Jen Leo out of the metro area up here, and AJ Malice representing the non-metro areas down in, he's coming out of Tucson as well. So thank you to those 7 people. Thanks for making an effort to participate, offer your ideas, and join those meetings as they took place. I think we're moving in the right direction. I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate that. So with that said, I think we're nearing the end of this. Boy, in an hour, how's that? I want to thank all of you for attending. We actually have over half of the club directors joining us today, which was better than the survey. So want to encourage you in the future, if you get emails from us, please open them up. The more people that we have participate in these surveys, the better information we get and the better the decisions will be. So please, please, please participate in those things and reach out to your representatives. Participate when in any way possible. Please contact Lisa regarding registration, Becky with any office issues, and Eric would love to hear from you as far as outreach goes. I want to thank you all for participating, and last but not least, don't forget Cindy in our Safe Sport area. She's going to be reaching out to all of you and working with J.R. Salima, who's our ethics and compliance officer, to handle any issues that might arise over the season. Thank you all.
Hey, Harold,
Any
real
questions,
quick.
Lance?
Yeah, real quick. A number of people are asking about the girls' schedule, if we have a tentative schedule or when we will find out about the schedule.
I'm sure Becky is ready to respond to that. I'll just say that there are a couple of variables that are preventing us from posting a schedule at this moment. We don't really know about some dates, in particular, a couple of large qualifiers like Crossroads and others. Some of those complicate when we can put different age groups on different weekends. So we are probably going to get that out closer to the beginning of October once we know a little bit more information.
Okay, and some questions are coming in, which either Becky or Lisa or even myself might be able to answer in terms of, are there going to be format changes to the tournaments due to all the COVID stuff?
Right now, for the girls, we have not changed anything. We'll see how the boys go. The boys do have, the first 3 tournaments are just going to be pool play. They're not going to even switch courts. They're just going to, and then they're still going to keep divisions of 8, but they're going to play a pool of 4. And then the first and seconds will be determined by set percent, or actually the places will be determined by set percentages of the finish in both pools. So that's what they decided to do for the first 3 tournaments. Tournament 4 and 5 is scheduled to go back to the normal format, and the region championships are scheduled to play as usual. But we'll see how, as we move into the fall, if anything changes with the state and what they're allowing us to do, and with the numbers, and hopefully we can move on there. Their contract was adjusted to because they were reducing 1 match per tournament. So we'll see how that works, but hopefully we'll be able to go as scheduled come January when the girls' season starts. But right now we don't know that. That'll be a junior committee that will keep them abreast of all of that as well.
Okay, and there were a few questions about whether or not we would consider doing multiple day tournaments, having tournaments on Sunday as well, to try to keep the numbers down at locations, etc.
We hadn't, it wasn't ever broached the subject of moving anybody but open to Sundays at this point in time. We can't kill our adult tournament or our adult seasons. We've already done that, and in many respects, we've already kind of killed are we not hearing me? Lisa's making a comment. No, anyway, we haven't talked about moving it there, or going there with a 2-day tournament other than the open seating tournament. But if we need to, that'll be something that we do need to do going forward. I mean, if we need to, but right now we haven't gone there with that, so.
I have a few people who have joined me.
Hi, Harold. Hi, Becky. Hi, Cindy. Hi,
Hi,
Joe.
Ron.
Bring food.
Well, there you are.
I'm hungry. Bring
He's
food.
always hungry.
He should have been on. You have any other questions, Lance?
The only other one was, is there a chance to get tryouts pushed back to December? Other than that, I think we're mostly.
I didn't hear that. Can you?
That was garbled.
I'm sorry. Is there any chance to move the tryouts back to December or push them back to December?
Right now, the tryouts are to go as scheduled per the junior committee, November 14th and November 21st. The time for the AIA championships are supposed to be on the 21st, and they are, it may be that we move it to the evening for the 21st or make it the 22nd. I don't know what that is. The next weekend's Thanksgiving weekend, so we don't want to go any further in, and boys regionals is on the 5th. So that's something that the junior, I believe, at least that's the information we got from Charlotte, was that they wanted to keep it the 14th and the 21st.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that I can put in right now quickly. Again, I apologize if I can't get your question answered right away. With them coming in, I can't even keep track of which one I'm looking at. And we will look through them all and make sure the answers get out to everyone.
Cindy, unmute. Unmute.
There was some question on scoring a record.
Here we are.
Some probably would change as well, but I'll look at that or answer that.
Somebody volunteered to fill that empty spot on the committee, but they didn't put their name. So if they could type in their name, that'd be great.
Okay. That's helpful.
What was the score ref question?
I think they're just asking how they're going to work.
Well, that we'll wait till the officials division makes that determination right now, because they're talking about everybody in one clinic for that. It would have to be restricted. They were also talking about doing it during scrimmages instead of in a clinic format. So I'm going to defer to them when that time comes. Once they've decided exactly what they're going to do, we'll send that information out.
Okay, I will clarify to everyone that the slide that we have shown today will be on that junior forum link on the website.
It's in the chat. Gil put it in the chat. There it is. It's azregionvolleyball.org/JRFORUM, Junior Forum. azregionvolleyball.org/Junior Forum, JRFORUM. That's the page.
Okay. Not sure how long you guys want to go to keep trying to answer some of the questions, or if you just want to bring them all in and answer them over email.
If you haven't had your question answered, just send it in via email and we'll send it out to everybody. We'll let everybody know what it is, the answer was, what the questions and the answer were.
All right. If there are no other questions, do any of the presenters have anything you want to add? Anything more? No?
There is one quick question. I think it's a good question. How do you do open house if the high school volleyball season is not over?
I'm not sure the board got a definitive answer from Charlotte on that before she left either. So we'll have to discuss with them if they discussed it, because I know what was on the table at the time we heard from her was early tryouts in October. So I don't know what they decided on that. So that's something that we're also going to have to send out once we get that definitive answer from them, especially because the high school season will still be going on during all of the open house period.
All right, I think that's
Anything else, Lance? All right. Once again, thank you all for attending. You're always welcome to watch this. It's been recorded, so you can go back anything you missed and catch it on the rerun. So thank you all again. We got you in an hour and 15 minutes. I hope it was worth your time. We tried to make it that way. Thanks again. We'll see you on the court.
Hey, Becky.
Yeah.
If somebody types something into the questions, does it put their email down there?
I couldn't even see it. Was it in the chat?
Because in the chat, somebody said, hey, I'll step up and volunteer to do the Metro Phoenix 10 to 19, but there's no name attached to it.
We kind of need to talk to Abby Vick before we give that, because Abby Vick's club grew last year.
Okay,
And she and Nicole actually should have switched places, because Nicole's club was smaller and Abby's was larger, and they were representing people outside of their actual group. So I don't know how we want to handle that, but maybe we
Okay.
offer Abby the other one and then we fill the 5 to 9 or whatever it is, but we'll have to just figure that out.
Cindy,
FYI,
okay.
session's still being recorded and attendees are still here, so I'm not sure if you want to take this offline or not.
Oh. How do we do that?
I mean, we can go ahead and end the webinar and then reconvene in a meeting room, or just giving you that information.
This is for everyone, right?
Right. I wouldn't mind that question for everybody.
So what do you want? What was the question again? Sorry.
From me?
From, yeah, you.
Well, I wanted somebody volunteered to serve on the committee, but they didn't put their name on there. So that could go out to everybody. If you were that person, please just attach your name and I'll contact you.
Cindy, I have that information.
Okay, cool.
Also, I've saved the questions log, and it includes name and email of everyone asking questions.
Excellent.
Thanks,
I think
Gil.
you can stop recording, Gil.
We did stop recording.
It says it's still how it is.